Okay, Monday, 10th of March, 2025. So Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Money, Monday, Bitcoin and everything else. Bitcoin and Roko's Basilisk. Do not watch. Because this is an interesting concept that I came across a few weeks ago now. 2 or so weeks, I guess. It was in an interview, someone mentioned Bitcoin in the context of Roko's Basilisk, in the context of some economics book or something of the sort. Now, Roko's Basilisk is an interesting little thought experiment, so to speak. It's one of those things that once you see it, it's impossible to see, and the impetus to act is then on you. So really, this is why I say you don't want to watch this video, but you need to know the information inside it. So it's a bit of both. Now, essentially, Roko's Basilisk is a thought experiment that revolves around regret. Once you're aware of something, you have to act. You have to do something. Otherwise, you will be punished, so to speak, about that in the future, i.e. regret. So Roko's Basilisk talks about how in the future, there will be an AI that's powerful and ubiquitous, that once you theorize and think that indeed there will be an AI, it'll be so powerful, let's say, that if today you don't act to make it come into existence, you don't do anything, in the future, whenever that is, it'll punish you. Yeah, interesting experiment. Now, you could say there's a time paradox there. There's an interesting self-fulfilling prophecy. Maybe. But it's an interesting thought experiment in regret. So they say in the future there'll be an AI that will exist, and it makes people's lives in the future bad, whoever didn't help it come into existence. So if you know about something today, yet don't act on it, the future's version of you will regret it. It's interesting, actually. I came across this concept back in 2019, calling it future regrets. Essentially able to be having the foresight to look at things and actions that I could do in the future that I would ultimately regret even further in the future if I don't act on them. So essentially that. So hesitation leads to regret tomorrow. Fair enough. Very humanistic way of looking at it. Now, I had a very interesting analogy. So that's Roko's Basilisk. Let's change it a little bit so it's a little more down to earth. So imagine you are driving 100 kilometers per hour, 100 miles per hour into a wall, dead ahead. You can see it clearly. And your passenger says to you, there's a wall, stop the car, slam the brakes. You don't listen. There's a pet to the passenger. You keep going. The passenger says again, stop the car, press the brakes, brake. You don't listen. You keep going. Straight towards that wall. No swerving, straight. The passenger says for the final time, stop the car, brake. And the passenger jumps out the car. No, he jumps out and he's fine. Let's just assume fine. But you keep going. You crash into that wall. You can see in the distance, and it gets closer and closer and closer. And you crash into that wall. Why didn't you stop? You could say. Someone's warning you about something in the future, that wall, yet you didn't take action. Did not take action. And you crashed into that wall as a result. So then you could say, in that context of the analogy, in reality then, in life, what is that wall? What is that thing someone is warning you about, or you are being warned about, that's on the horizon, in the future, that if you don't act, you will have regret? Like the wall, you will crash straight into it. Or the basilisk, you will have regret in some fashion. That's an infinite question, because really it could be absolutely anything. It could be something you discover tomorrow that can change your life in 10 years from now. It's quite possible. Or something you discovered yesterday, quite literally yesterday, that will sink in, say, 6 months from now. It could literally be anything. And then you could say, well, being pragmatic, we could go one step further and say, well, Dragnet, taking all the information possible from every single source, data, information, statistics, you name it, and then through your discernment, your knowledge, everything, you filter it down into the actionable things and things worthwhile, things to focus on. Bitcoin, for example. By anyone who has been in the space long enough, say 10 or so years, Bitcoin is a wall like that. Someone's saying, learn it, understand it, learn it, and yet you're taking no action, and you're going to crash into it, and it creates regret. People who could have bought it 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, are now looking at the price, for example, and having regret, lamenting it. Oh, if only, if only, if only. Exactly. It's this thing that's in the future, because as you understand the fundamentals, the technology, the first principles behind it, it's this thing that in the future will punish you by not taking action today. For whatever reason, inaction. Laziness, inattention, not learning, putting it off, delaying, who knows. Fundamentally, also, Bitcoin is an IQ and an ego test, but that's a bit of a different conversation. So then I say, Dragnet, taking all the information possible, then filter. Hence, minimizing the regret and inefficiencies. Meaning, you won't be saying, had I known this last year, then today. Had I known this, you pick a time in the past, then today would be different. I came across an individual recently, and he told me that had he, for example, Bitcoin. Now, he mentioned had he bought Bitcoin in 2007, I quote 2007, but I think he got that wrong. I think he meant to say 2017. Then today, more or less now, he'd be a wealthier person. Possible, but that's a whole other conversation, because it's a question of hodling and understanding the dynamics and being shaken out the market, which is something I want to do in the future video. But that, had I known, he had the exact same thing. Had I known X, had I known Y, had I known Z in 2017, he would be today different. Ah, interesting. And then when you really distill it, you're one prompt away from changing your life. You just don't know which. You're one book away, one fact, one Google search, one YouTube video away from changing your life. Really, you're one book away from recognizing that wall that you're going to crash into that will create regret. You're one ChatGPT question away, you're one prompt away, you're one something away that had you identify that wall, you'd have fewer regrets in the future. 5, 10, 20 years from now. And you'd be saying, well, thankfully in 2025, for example, I learned about this or took action Y or did Z, things like that. So it's essentially this future regret and how to handle it. Once you're aware of something, the impetus, the responsibility to act is on the man in the mirror, the person in the mirror. Otherwise, you risk creating regret for your future version. In one day, 1 month, 1 week, 1 year, 1 decade, you name it. That's powerful. And as a principle in life, we want to have as few regrets as possible, so we do more stuff. We achieve and we do in life. The fewer regrets, the better. And the more efficient with our time we can be, the better as well, making fewer mistakes inherently. That's powerful. So this is interesting. Very, very interesting. Responsibility. Knowing about something creates obligation to act. If you don't, regret will be your own personal reckoning. Yes. Powerful stuff. It's something worth understanding. Once you understand something, the impetus, responsibility almost, you could say, is on you to act. Otherwise, you will regret it in the future. Powerful emotion to feel and have. But otherwise, Adrian's Daily Vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.